Hi there, this is Brenda Knoll, and this class is called Paint With Me, Abstract Florals and Gouache. So what is gouache? Well, I've heard it called opaque watercolor, and it is watercolor in that it's water soluble and water activated, so technically it's watercolor, but I have watercolor pigments that are opaque and they're not called gouache, so what's the deal? Well, the simplest way that I understand it is gouache is like watercolor with white or chalk added. Like watercolor, gouache also uses the same gum arabic as its binding agent. However, the pigments in gouache are larger in both size and number than in watercolor. And this gives gouache a much higher density, making it thicker, brighter, and heavier than watercolor, and mostly opaque. And I say mostly opaque because sometimes I have some gouache that's translucent until you add the white and then it becomes opaque. So briefly, the characteristics of gouache compared to watercolor, according to why I enjoy painting in gouache, are that unlike watercolor, which has to be painted in general from light to dark to preserve your highlights, gouache is opaque and it acts more like acrylic in that you can paint from dark to light or light to dark or midtones to dark to light or however you want to paint it. And it reminds me of acrylic in that techniques that I'm familiar with in acrylic apply reasonably well in gouache. Another characteristic of gouache that I find really enjoyable is the unlimited amount of blending. With watercolor, as long as it's wet, you're good. But if you continue to try to blend as things start to dry, you're going to run into some unsolvable problems if you push it. So with gouache, though, you can let it dry, you can go back, you can blend some more. I also find that gouache is more vibrant, and I love the vibrant color, and so there's that as well. That open blending time is really nice, especially when you're doing portraits or florals or anything that is a little fussy on the just getting the transition just right. I use traditional gouache. I do not know how this information applies to acrylic gouache because I've never used acrylic gouache. I would probably use acrylics before I used acrylic gouache, as I enjoy the open blending time of traditional gouache. And I just don't understand how that would be the same with acrylic gouache. But anybody who has used acrylic gouache that takes this class, if you have some more insight into that, please post in the discussion and let us all know your experience and what you think. So, if painting along with me, abstract florals and gouache sounds good, I hope you will enjoy and enroll in this class. Thanks.